Okay, here we go with my look at Transformers Animated Blackout. And before we actually look at the toy here, I wanted to first talk a little bit about the packaging that this guy came in. So I'm just going to move him out of the way and set that to the side. And here's the box that this guy came in. And if you'll notice, this is a Japanese release. And it pretty much is a Japanese only release from Takara Tomy. So that's just a little look here at the packaging. You can see down here it says Blackout, and it says here Decepticon Airborne Soldier. And I just wanted to kind of show this off because I kind of like the way the packaging's done here, and just kind of to show you a little bit of the difference between the American or North American version versus the Japanese version of this packaging here. I like the way that it's got the big Decepticon symbol in the back there. Kind of see that there. So there it is there, and just kind of turn it around here and look at him on the back, or look at it from the back. It's got the little story here. Obviously it's all in Japanese, can't read none of this, but I do like the little artwork, and or actually this little like diorama thing that they got going on here with the actual toys. And there's Bumblebee there, so that's pretty cool. I like the way they did that. And if you look in here, it just kind of shows off the little gimmicks and some detail on him, shows some of the other figures you can get in the line. And there's some of the actual artwork from the animated cartoon series there. So that's pretty much it there as far as the packaging goes. There it is on the side, nice big Decepticon symbol. And I'm not certain if you get an Autobot version of a Transformer animated character from Japan, if the packaging has the same color scheme. I would assume it doesn't, since this is like black and purple. It's obviously the Decepticon color scheme here with the packaging. And I think the Autobot ones have like a kind of like a red and white theme to it. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I like the way they did this here, so it's obvious which ones are Autobots, which ones are Decepticons. So that's pretty cool. And another little thing here is some of the little paperwork that came with this guy here. Obviously you're going to have the little instruction booklet. Let me just get this out of the little baggie here. There we go. But you got the little instruction booklet here, pretty much the same as what you find in any of the other versions of this guy. American, whatever versions of him, North American versions, except it's obviously all in Japanese. No big surprise there. And I like this part here. It has this sort of like, almost like a little poster here. You can see in there, it's got the Dinobots there. And then down in here, it just shows, all the other figures you can get in the line. With the Autobots down here, Decepticons up here. So that's pretty cool. So you can kind of see some of the differences in the way that they did the color schemes on these guys in the Japanese versions versus the American versions. And again, there's the Dinobots down there. And then on the back, it actually has here his stat readout, and I guess like his little bio in here. Here's like his stats, shows his weapons, and some other figures you can get down in here. And if you'll notice in here, it looks like they talk about how this is supposed to be like the animated version of the movie version of Blackout. So they kind of based this version off of this and just redid it in the style of the animated TV show. So that's that there. And then it came with this little thing here. It looks like some little mail-in coupon thing of some kind. But anyways, I just wanted to show that off there real quick, just to kind of get an idea of some of the differences between this version and the North American version or American version. So let's bring him back in here and just kind of move this forward a bit. And let's actually talk about him now. And obviously there he is in his alt mode. It's a helicopter, Earth-based helicopter here, like they showed in the instructions, similar to the one from the movie, the 2007 movie. Pretty cool alt mode, I like it. It does have a few little flaws in my opinion, and overall this figure does have a few flaws, just kind of minor things though, and I'll kind of try to point those out as I go through here. One of those little flaws, not so much a flaw, but just something that it's a little disappointing considering this is a Voyager class figure, is the little rotor here. It doesn't have any kind of spring-loaded button or anything that makes it spin on its own, but you can obviously just spin it yourself. It spins very well, like so. So that's a little bit of a disappointment. And the other disappointment, actually a couple more with this alt mode here, is if you look on the underside here, there's no real like landing gear of any kind. I know it's a helicopter, so it's not exactly going to have typical landing gear, but it should have at least some kind of wheels. It does have these little like nubs here and here, but these in here are mostly for the transformation to kind of snap in here, and these here are just, you know, obviously to kind of balance it out. But yeah, it's a little disappointing that it doesn't have any kind of little wheels or like a flip down landing gear of some kind. And the other thing that's a little bit of a nitpick with me, at least, is this portion in here is going to be his arms, or they will become his arms in robot mode. And there's nothing locking them into place. They just kind of rest there. I do wish they maybe would have had like a little peg or something that can just kind of lock it into place to keep it from moving around. Because if you are fiddling around with this guy, you can kind of knock it out of place. And I don't know, to me it's just a little distracting, a little bit of an annoyance. But other than that, it's a really nice alt mode. I like it a lot. It's pretty cool. He's very well armed, as you can see. He's got two cannons here. They look like little Gatling guns there, or mini guns there on the side. They're kind of staggered or offset. One looks smaller than the other, so that's kind of neat looking. And he's got some more here on the top. And these actually do move up and down like so, so you can kind of position them. Although I don't know that you want to have these sticking up when he's in helicopter mode with his blades rolling around up here at the top, because probably knock those blades off, but yeah. So he's got those on either side, the guns here. Pretty much the same. This is like his little tail fin here, or rotor here in the back. It doesn't move. This is actually his little weapon here, if you didn't notice it in the instructions earlier. And we'll look at that a little bit more once we get him into his robot mode. But that's pretty much it for his alt mode. Has some little Decepticon symbols here on either side. Nothing really chromed on here, which is kind of a good thing. I'm not a big fan of the chroming that the Japanese seem to like with their figures. So this guy here is pretty well done as far as the color scheme goes, and the paint apps. Pretty cool. To transform this guy, he's pretty simple to transform. Not too complicated, and not too basic either. But basically what you want to do is just start here by pulling off this whole tail section here. And this part I always get a little cautious about it, because it snaps off there rather loud, or it just feels like it's going to break the tabs when you take it off. See, so to me, I don't know, maybe be careful with that part, because it's got some little tabs right in here, and I don't know, it just sounds like they're going to break every time I take it off. But I haven't seen any stress marks on it at all, so, you know, maybe it is sturdy enough. It just sounds very loud because it's held in very securely. I don't know, but, you know, maybe just be careful with that. And this is basically the robot here. So, you know, if you get this guy, don't want to lose this part, because you're not going to be able to have a proper alt mode without it. So just keep that in mind. But moving on here, what you want to do next is to do his legs here. His legs are right here. Just kind of fold these down like that. And when you move this part here and lock it into place, I believe it's going to loosen up these rotors here. It's kind of like a little automorph feature. Let's see. But these will just kind of loosen up or pop up so that you can bend them back. So let's go ahead and snap that in. And there it goes. You can see how it popped it back there. And what you want to do with these rotors here, or the blades, is just fold these four in. Any four, it doesn't really matter. Like so. Let's see if I can get that right. So they're like that, and they'll kind of line up like that, which is kind of cool. And then you just bend these top two here down like that. Just kind of leave those there for now. And then to finish his legs here, just separate them like so, and then just pull them forward. Pull them forward. And he's got some little feet in here, so you just pop these out like that. And he does have some little heels that are tucked away in there, so just flip those out. And that's going to give him his little heels in his feet, or his toes. And the next part would just be rotate his arms down here, like so. And what you're going to do is split this whole part out and move it back. And so just go ahead and do that. Just grab it, pull it apart. That's going to reveal his little face in there and his head. And you just line these up here. There's some little tabs in here, or posts, and they pop into these little holes. So just push them back, line it up, and just kind of push everything into place. You'll kind of feel it snap in there like that. And just kind of push it in so it fills out or closes up the little gaps in here in the seams. Okay. And then the next part would just be to pull out his little hands here. They're just tucked away in there like that. And like that. And then these parts back here with the little missiles on it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that he does have some little missiles here on the fins here. So those are available in his alt mode. Just rotate those so they're facing up like that. And with that, you pretty much now have him in his robot mode. Just kind of just balance him here. Now, in the instructions, I think they show his arms here actually are supposed to go forward. They're like on this little hinge, and they'll kind of sit forward here. But I think they kind of look a little odd when you actually put them in that position. You just kind of show that off here. You just kind of swing this hinge out and move it into the forward position. Let's see if I can line them up here. But I don't know, it's one of these ways it looks odder than the other. Actually, yeah, I think it was this way here in this alt mode. I think you're actually supposed to have them back here in the robot mode according to the instructions, but I like to put them forward. I think that's what it was, because to me it looks like they sit too far back on his body there. And if you look at it on this side, it seems like it's more centered like it should be. I don't know. I like to do it this way. You know, you can do it whichever way you want. It's up to you. But that's it there for his arms, really. And then the only other thing really left to do is just to flip these little panels around so that they're facing forward. And this guy's getting a little floppy on me here. Just kind of get him all lined up. And that's pretty much him there in his robot mode. Let's go ahead and talk about the articulation on this guy, because that's going to get into some of the other little flaws with him here in his robot mode. Just kind of line everything up here. Basically, you can move his arms here like this. These go around pretty much a full 360 degrees, although they kind of hit these panels here. You can rotate them here kind of because of the way it transforms. You can also swivel it here, like at the bicep, and bend it here, like that. There's no rotation or bending this way, which is one of those things I don't like about this guy. I wish they would have put a joint here so you can bend his elbow forward, you know, towards you, but you really can't do that. His head really doesn't move at all. I thought it was like on like maybe a little ball joint, but it's just pretty much locked into place, so that's a little disappointing also. And his legs here are pretty much rotate around here at the hips like this. You can rotate these here, and you can also bend here because of the transformation. The feet don't really move, so that's it there. And he does have some waist rotation here, which is a good thing. And his little hands here are like little claws, and they kind of move independently. He's got 3 fingers basically, and you can pretty much move each one independently. Well, these 2 here, the thumb doesn't actually move, it's fixed. And you can kind of bend it in because of the transformation. But that's pretty much it for the rotation. Now one other thing, or actually not rotation but the articulation, but one other thing is this joint in here, because the way it hinges, if you do kind of move it back into position, actually this side's a little stiffer, I'll do it on this side. But if you get it kind of like that, you can get some movement sort of up and down like this, but not a whole lot. So I think they kind of dropped the ball a little bit with, you know, the amount of articulation that they gave him. I really think he suffers because of the lack of a real proper elbow joint there. But it's not something that's a major detriment to the figure. You know, it's not something I'd say don't buy him because of that. It's just something that's a little disappointing. overall, he's a cool looking figure. I like him. And as you can see here, he pretty much has, you know, access to all his weapons here. He is a little top heavy here, but he does have access to all his weapons here in his robot mode. He's got these. Now it makes sense to have these cannons where you can position them here, either up or down. And he's got them here on his arms. Man, these hip joints here on mine just seem like really floppy. I don't know why. They haven't been giving me any problems before, but obviously now that I'm trying to do the video review, he's wanting to flop around. And, you know, you can move these like this, you know, into position, so you can have like the missiles pointing at the, you know, whoever. And just kind of look at him here in the back. It's kind of cool the way they did the blades here, how they kind of store away like that. But let's just kind of look at him there in the back. Not a whole lot there as far as the detail goes. And let's just kind of go up here in the front and look at him here like so. Trying to position him here so he doesn't tip over. Let's just zoom in here a little bit. So that's him there. I like his little face, and if you notice, he's got one eye here that's kind of larger than the other, so he's kind of like all googly eyed or whatever. But pretty cool looking. I like him. He's supposed to be, you know, the sort of equivalent of the Decepticon equivalent of a Bulkhead. He's the big, huge guy. And if you've seen him on the actual Transformers animated series, he's actually a lot bigger looking than the way he looks here in his toy version here, compared to the other characters on the show. That's him there, and just kind of pan on down. But overall, he's a very nice figure. So yeah. And let's talk about his little gimmick here, which is just this, again, the little tail fin here, and it shoots out. And there's a little trigger right here, and if you hit that, it'll just kind of shoot out like that, and it goes pretty far. It basically just, you know, depends on how hard you press this. It's not spring loaded or anything. It's just, you know, friction powered. So that's a pretty cool little gimmick. And let me see if I can find that rotor blade, because it went flying across the room. But oh well, we'll worry about it some other time. So all in all, I think this guy's a really cool figure. If you're into animated like I am, I really like animated toys, the Transformers animated show in general too. This is definitely a guy to get to kind of complete out your collection, especially since he didn't get an actual North American release here. So it is a Japanese only release. It's going to be a little pricey. I think I paid about 50 something bucks for this guy. So you can probably get him for 40 something to maybe 60. I wouldn't go over 60 for this guy. But usually he's probably 40 something, and you know, time you add another 10 bucks for shipping, it's about 50 something. But I'd say, yeah, if you can find this guy, get him. He should be fairly easy to find online. There's still a lot of people on eBay who have them, and also just online toy shops who seem to have this guy here. But he does have a few flaws. It's not a perfect figure, but I think it's a cool character. It's got a cool alt mode. I like the overall design. The robot mode's cool. His gimmick here is okay. It's decent. Yeah, you know, other than that, he's just a all-around good figure, one that's worth picking up. Again, especially if you're into the animated line, you probably want to get this guy. Anyways, I think I'll wrap it up here with my look at Transformers Animated Blackout.